Well, g'day, Flatties and reality defenders. This is Critical Think from Down Under. Thank you. Today we're going to talk about a completely bonkers Flattie idea for the final experiment. So just a little disclaimer here, while this video does indeed take the mickey out of silly Flattie ideas, it's not a personal attack, nor is it a hit piece. I respect people's rights to differing opinions. However, certain individuals should realise that publishing information that is outrageously bonkers and false to boot should not complain when someone points out how wrong they are. And if you don't like being caught out in the top left section, then don't publish stupid stuff. So I reserve the right to point out where people are wrong. Today we're going to talk about this idea that Pookie Pie has put forward to measure curvature, so he says, on the way to Antarctica. And of course, this experiment is completely invalid and it's such a silly idea. So this is a rehash of the old let's take a spirit level onto the aeroplane and in using an inclinometer instead. But the result is the same. The result that he is expecting on a globe is not the result that the science is expecting on a globe. And we'll get into that a little bit more later. But before we do, let's consult the originator of the famous spirit level on a plane experiment, and let's see what he thinks about this.
Hello, Flat Earth researchers, debaters and debunkers. A gaggle of globe Earth believers are heading off to Antarctica in December to see if they can observe a 24-hour sun, basically to see the sun doing a circle around them without ever actually setting, and in their minds this is the final experiment, because it will apparently prove once and for all that the Earth must be a spinning globe if we can see a 24-hour sun in the south and then the same in the north at a different time of year. Now, the globe Earth believers that are organizing and participating in this so-called final experiment believe that seeing a 24-hour sun will disprove the flat Earth, because they're referring to the flat Earth as this azimuthal equidistant map of the continents that's centered on the North Pole and makes Antarctica appear like a ring around this circular map.
Right, so we're heading into the old this is not my map excuse. Well, actually, the final experiment, the 24-hour sun, will indeed demonstrate that the Earth is a globe, and it will indeed falsify the flat Earth. Not just the AE map, but any map of the flat Earth, and I'll show you that in just a minute. But you've got to understand that Phuket Word is not putting forward any map. Right, he wants to reserve the right to have no map just so that he can say that every single map is, no, that's not my map, so you can't disprove the flat Earth because that's not my map. Well, that's pretty silly. And the AE map is the only one that has been put forward by the flat earthers, so this is the one that we're using. Now, you got to understand, any flat Earth map has to have the North Pole at the centre. This is because the flat Earth has already claimed, and this is an okay claim, that the sun circles in the northern Arctic region. They say the sun goes in a circle around you. Now, that's okay. So therefore, if you're going to have that happen and your sun do a ringy thing, and your sun going round in a circle around the North Pole, then that explains that on a flat Earth with the North Pole at the centre. But then, if the sun does a circle in the opposite direction in Antarctica, anywhere in Antarctica, then that's a big problem and falsifies the flat Earth. So we're just going to switch to a different view here, and we're going to show you why the 24-hour sun fits the globe so well, but it's a real deal breaker for the flat Earth. Not just the AE map, but any flat Earth map. So here we go. I have here a smallish globe model. And, okay, if here you can see the South Pole here. Now that's in the southern summer and the globe is rotating. You'll see that in Antarctica, you can see Antarctica all the time. And if you're thinking like, you are where the sun is, you can see how people that are on Antarctica can look up and see you. See you in 24 hours, they'll see you all the time. So now you turn that around, and in the northern summer, you get a similar thing. The Arctic region is exposed to the sun. So that's why it works on a globe. This is why we expect on a globe, because everything fits reality on the globe, Now here I have a flat Earth. Now, yes, it's blank. It has no continents on it. That's just so that we are not tied to any one map or even a particular shape. This particular flat Earth is square, so it can be round or square, and you can place the continents anywhere you like on this flat Earth. And we're going to show you why this can never work with a 24-hour sun at both poles. So the sun is going to rotate like that on your flat Earth. I don't care where you put the continents. The North Pole needs to be at the centre, though, in order for you to claim that there's a 24-hour sun in the Arctic region. Now, you can pick anywhere on this map where your South Pole is. And just remember that the sun's going to travel in the opposite direction. It could be anywhere. Where are you going to put? Where are you going to put your South Pole? Right? Where are you going to put it? I don't care how many thousands of maps you make. You're going to have to be saying that the sun is in two different places at the same time. And we all know that there's only one sun. You can see it in the sky every day in the same place, pretty much. And how can it possibly turn around in one direction in one part of the flat map and another direction in the other part of the flat map? Can't possibly do it. Falsifies the flat Earth. But the globe works. It works fine. Right? You get the idea? That's why 24-hour sun will prove the globe and disprove the flat Earth.
So, of course, if you see a 24-hour sun going around you in Antarctica, that would be impossible if you're using the azimuthal equidistant map as your flat Earth model.
And as I pointed out, impossible with any flat Earth, no matter where you put the continents.
Now, the globe Earth believers believe that they have this undeniable, irrefutable working model of a globe Earth that fits with everything that we can predict and see happening in the sky in the real world. Well, that is kind of true.
Yeah, so we have a model that works, it fits everything, explains everything observed in our reality. But wait a minute. The Earth can still be flat even though your globe model models everything pretty much perfectly.
But what has never been brought forward or discovered was any actual curvature on...
Again, we got this. There's never any curvature. This is completely false. And it's only brought about because flat earthers ignore any evidence of curvature or come up with some fake excuses. Like, how about perspective? How about that one?
on the surface of the Earth. And so really a final experiment should be an actual measure of curvature.
Reiterate, yes, it's been done thousands of times. You just don't take any notice.
If you really wanted to shut up the flat earthers.
Been doing it for years, they still don't shut up.
But when you ask for one, the globe earth believers cannot produce a measure of curvature.
Completely false. This is completely false. And let's go into some of these things. Right, so tell me, is that bridge straight or curved? So, tell me about this. You've tried to take a picture of a fishing boat on the horizon, right? Now, compare that to the picture I've taken here. This one of a ship over the curve. And I know you have your excuses for that, but here is the proof. This is an observation and not a measurement, but we'll get to the measurements. Now this here is actually a measurement, right? It's a photograph. And from this photograph, I was able to calculate to within 10% the radius of the Earth. And we'll get to more of that in another video. Now there's a reason why this is evidence of curvature. For starters, right, we're always told that, especially by Phuket word, that the horizon is always at eye level. But this is begging the question fallacy from him, because one of the major differences between the flat Earth and the globe Earth is that on the globe Earth there is, of course, curvature. Such curvature is away from you and down, and as such will form a horizon. Now, the horizon cannot form on a flat Earth. The water would just be seen to go off into almost infinity until you couldn't see anymore. But on the globe, a horizon is formed because the water is always curving away. Now, flat earthers have a problem accepting this, but that's not our fault, right? This evidence shown in this picture here is evidence that for example, here, this red line represents a 24-metre observation height. Now, that red line is not at eye level, it's below eye level. But if the Earth were flat, then that represents eye level. And you can see that the horizon is way below that. So the horizon never rises to eye level, okay? Now here's another ultra clear picture. Right, where's the rest of the beach and everything? It's an obvious curving of the water there. Obvious, no inferior mirage to hide anything. And there's Byron Bay there, obscured by the curve of the Earth. Now here again, this one is a measurement. Now I've used a measuring instrument, you know, a measurement. And with this measuring instrument, we have taken an observation of the sun being below eye level. Now that is impossible on a flat Earth because I'm using a measuring instrument. And when you actually do further measurements, you got the line there where the horizon is. Now you can say that that is, of course, the horizon because you can see the sun behind it. If the water continued on And it was just, you try to make an excuse like we don't see the water. Well, the sun's behind it. Of course, there's no water there. There's the eye level. That's the level point established with a measuring instrument. There's the horizon. So the sun's seen behind it and below eye level. And what's even more, all the numbers agree. The measurement agrees with the globe model. This is the exact complete opposite of what you're saying. Here's another measurement. I'll get into this in another video, exactly what the meaning of this is. I already explained it in a video before, but I'm going to go over this again in relation to the drone experiment. But this is a measurement, right? These are the measurements of curvature. Here's another measurement. This red line here represents eye level. I know it is eye level because it's been measured. A with geometry, B with instruments, and C even with a water level. So you can clearly see that the sun is below eye level. It can only happen on a globe, cannot happen on the flat earth. And this one here that, Nick, you can do this at Phuket. You can see, I mean, this wasn't a very clear day, but you live there, you'll be able to get some clear days. You can see that, no, the horizon does not rise to eye level. Oh, you can do that one yourself. And you see this? This is at Phuket again. Now, you like to say, oh, perspective is the imaginary curve. But tell me, how does perspective work there? It doesn't. First of all, the sun is not smaller. It would be due to perspective, so you can rule out perspective now already. But then you want to say, oh no, the bottom half of the sun is missing because of perspective. Oh, well, that's just not possible. That's not perspective. That's just you making up stuff because you can't handle the fact that the Earth's a globe. Oh yeah, and there's one of my other favourite pictures. Oh dear, where's the rest of the ship? Oh yes, it's behind the curve. That's right. And not to mention that I have this experiment that I'm going to bring to Antarctica, and of course I'm calling for donations for my Antarctic trip. I'll put a link in the description below. So I'm going to bring this experiment to Antarctica where I measure weights at various locations, including Australia and Thailand at this point, Singapore, and do the calculations. And guess what? This measurement, see, I'm measuring. I'm actually getting numbers. I'm measuring the weight, and it turns out that the weight comports exactly with what is predicted by the globe model. And it proves curvature.
They will in fact go to the assumption that horizontal level ends up being a curve.
So this is no assumption, right? Flat earthers have a big mental problem with level being curved. But let's just say it doesn't matter whether the Earth is a globe or not. You can model out the globe, the way it works physically, using science and forces and everything, and it turns out in the model level is curved. Now if the forces work exactly the same in reality, then in reality a level will be curved. Now I don't know why flat earthers have so much trouble with this. It's not that difficult.
Now if you live in the real world, you know that level doesn't ever curve.
And it's proven by science and measurements that in the real world, level does curve.
But of course, if you assume a certain model to start with, then...
No. We don't assume a certain model to start with and then make everything fit that model. I know that's what you're getting at. But the globe model was constructed as a model for reality. If reality did not fit it, then there would be no model, right? The model would not work, we would discard it. The same way the flat earth model does not work, and we have discarded it.
Now, one of the ways we've been deceived into believing that we live on a globe is the simple trick of converting distances across the level surface into degrees.
Who does this? Who converts distances to degrees? For example, when I'm driving my car like this, you see there we got this sign. All I ever see is signs with distances on them. I never see a sign that says so many degrees to the next town. Have you ever seen that? Now, and also when I'm say, look, it's 140 kilometres to the next town. How many degrees is that? I need to have it in degrees. Otherwise, people might think we live on a flat Earth. Yeah, that's a little bit ridiculous.
Let's see if we can actually measure the change in degrees from the start point to the end point of a journey. And this was an idea that was brought up by a friend of mine called Leon, who's a very practical man, and he has an idea of using an inclinometer
So he might be a very practical man, but he's to propose this experiment, he's not a very smart man.
a clinometer, which is otherwise commonly known as an angle finder. Now, there are digital angle finders available online that have a bubble as well, and they don't cost too much, and you could easily take this on a plane with you to see if there is a difference in the angle from the start point.
You don't understand the globe model. Before you can propose an experiment, you need to understand the physics involved. You don't understand the globe model. Now, I'll be back in Thailand again a little bit later in the year. Quite happy to come, visit, give you a few lessons on the globe, point out where you got it wrong. Right? No problem with that. Just hit me up. I'll try and make an effort to get to Phuket and show you how the globe works. But right now, let's just have a quick look at a globe and show you why this is a ridiculous and false experiment. So we've got our globe, right? Now, you should know that the direction of down on a globe is always the direction towards the centre. So, if I'm here, that's the direction of down. And that's your inclinometer only knows the direction of down. It does not have any internal gyroscope or anything that fixes it in space. No, it's not that. It's just knows where the gravity vector is pointing. So if you move to a different location, right, can you notice that this is still pointing to the direction of down, but it's actually a different direction? Now you're thinking in your mind that the inclinometer will show a different reading when it comes over here. But no, it cannot, because it's still pointing down. So if we were to, I'll get my phone here, and my phone is like an aeroplane. I'm flying over the earth there, and you've got the direction of down. Your inclinometer is pointing to the direction of down, which will be roughly perpendicular to the aeroplane. Now the plane flies around the curve. Now you can see on the globe the aeroplane is still level because wherever you are on the globe, level is perpendicular to down. And also the inclinometer is still pointing down. So no matter where you fly on the globe Earth, even if you believe that the Earth is a globe or not, you've got to get your experiment to fit the model, right? So the inclinometer will not change its reading. It will always be pointing down, so you cannot get a change in reading. You cannot measure curve with this experiment. So forget it.
By the end of the journey, you should have a bias that would show you measurable curvature that is equal to the number of degrees compared to the distance that we've actually travelled.
Well, no, that's completely false. And I've already explained that. I skipped over the bit about what the experiment's all about. But so the inclinometer will measure your level. So it knows the direction of down. Not going to work. It doesn't keep track of an angle. It only knows one thing, the direction of down. And whether you like it or not, on a globe, the direction of down is towards the centre, always.
And this would be a final experiment. And if someone's going to do a final experiment, it certainly should be part of the journey to measure curvature on the way.
Well, no, not like that. If you're going to have a real experiment, we could do it. Oh, how about my weight change versus latitude? That's a real experiment. Yes, we're going to do that one. We're going to measure curvature on the way, but not like this. Not like this.
Why not double up your experiments and see if you can actually produce another proof that would actually shut up the flat earthers if you could measure curvature. If you want to prove that level is curved, you have to be able to measure that curve.
Well, it's been done many times. Surveyors, like, for instance, the Pontchartrain Bridge, Jesse Kozlowski drove over the bridge taking a measurement, and it was measured as curved. Not to mention the fact that geodetic surveyors measure the curvature all the time. And there's all the other measurements of curvature that I've talked about and many that I have not talked about.
And I think Leon's come up with one of the best ways that anyone can actually measure this in a truly repeatable scientific measurement of...
No, this is one of the stupidest ways. And there's nothing scientific about it. It doesn't even follow the science, right? The science says you should see no change in that angle. That's what the science says. This experiment is stupid. It's invalid.
Curvature. But it would seem to me that it's only flat earthers or real truth seekers that are interested in actually conducting such experiments.
Oh, well, that's pretty funny because the globe earthers do the experiments. The flat earthers propose silly experiments or never do the real ones. Oh, I got a lot of information for that, but that's probably for another video.
All you'll get from globe earth believers is excuses and claims that level is actually curved.
No, it's not a claim. It's demonstrable and measurable. Level is actually curved. And Flatties have a big problem with that. But anyway, we do the measurements. You do the excuses.
Because you can calculate it based on a model. But real science...
No, not just calculate it. We measure it. Measure.
...is conducting real measurements.
So that's all we have on this particular silly experiment. And yeah, maybe in another video I'll go into another experiment and some of the other things that flat earthers have proposed as experiments, and yes, we've done them. And the Earth's globe, well, the Earth's always a globe when you do a proper experiment, so you cannot do an experiment like this one. It's invalid, silly, doesn't follow the science. So no, we're not doing that experiment. So we'll see you again sometime. Don't forget to like and subscribe.